Hello guys, I'm your host William and today we're going to talk about Constantine. In a desert area, a man digs through rubble and discovers an old spearhead wrapped in a Nazi flag. As soon as he unwraps the flag, an entity takes control of him and begins moving void. A will to choose. A car slams into him as he crosses the street. The car collapses, and the man gets up and walks away. Heaven and hell are not only real in John Constantine's world, but they exist in dimensions parallel to the human world on a different plane of existence. John is an exorcist who works with his apprentice, Chaz, to find and expel demons from the mortal plane. A mother prepares breakfast for her sick daughter in a small apartment in Los Angeles. When she sees her daughter levitating and snarling, she collapses to the floor, screaming. To save their lives, the family immediately seeks assistance from men of faith. Father Hennessy greets John as he enters the apartment. He informs John that he has discovered the one John has been looking for. Hennessy informs John that he failed to exorcise whatever is inside the young girl and requests his assistance. The possessed girl is bound to her bed, and John opens a window to let light in. He pulls out a talisman that casts a shadow on the young girl, who snaps at him. When John places the emulate on the girl's forehead, it immediately begins to sizzle. As John mutters an incantation, the girl begins convulsing and screaming. The girl stops shaking, but a silhouette appears from her neck, ready to tear out the girl's throat. John realizes he needs to exorcise the demon quickly and requests a mirror. The family obtains a large mirror and assists in holding it above the girl. John shatters a window and requests that Shah move the parking car below. John has the mirror attached to a pulley above the window and warns everyone in the room to keep their eyes shielded. When one of the men catches a glimpse, he begins screaming about his graying hair. When John discovers the girl's eyes, the demon flees, only to become trapped in the mirror. John instructs Hennessy to remove the mirror, but it will not fit through the window. When John takes over trying to pull the mirror out, he notices the demon doing the same. He puts all of his weight on the rope, and the mirror flies out the window, smashing to pieces on the car. When John walks out of the room, he notices a sketch drawing of what appears to be a spearhead and recognizes it as the Spear of Destiny, the same spear the man discovered earlier in the desert. John informs Hennessy that the exorcism was unusual, and he predicts that something significant will occur. Chaz drives John home after he leaves. Angela Donson, a police detective, confesses to a priest. She informs him that she has killed yet another criminal. She expresses concern about the number of murders she has committed. She always seems to know exactly where these bad guys are and when she should pull the trigger. She wonders if there's something wrong with her, and the priest assures her that God has something special in store for her at home. She dreams of waking up in a hospital bed. She hears Isabel's name whispered before getting up and sneaking up the stairs to the hospital roof. She removes her medical tag and throws it into the wind before jumping, smashing through a glass roof into a pool. She floats for a moment before waking up in her bed, breathing heavily. The next morning, John Constantine receives an X-ray of his lungs, and a doctor informs him that he has an advanced form of terminal lung cancer, with only a short time to live in the same hospital. Angela arrives at a suicide scene. She discovers the body, and the woman resembles her. Isabel is her twin sister, a mental patient who was admitted to the hospital. Her colleague informs her that Isabel jumped from the roof, but Angela claims she knows Isabel and that she is not the one who killed her. The man, John's friend, arrives at his apartment with a happy grin. He brings a slew of items and equipment for John Beman, including bullet shavings from a failed assassination attempt on the Pope, holy water from the Jordan River, and a screech beetle that repels demons. Beman inquires about the new assignment, and John informs him about the exorcism. According to John, he witnessed a demon soldier attempting to exit the young girl's body and enter the human realm. Ben is surprised to hear this, knowing that demons can only control and possess humans, but never enter their physical bodies. Just in case, John commissions Beman to conduct research into this occurrence. John and Chaz then go to a church, where John runs into Angela again. Angela consults with a priest, while John seeks out Gabriel. When John notices Gabriel's dark wings, he refers to him as a half-breed. Gabriel understands why. John has arrived and informed John. Angels continue to track the most errant souls. Angela requests a Catholic funeral for Isabella, but the priest says the bishop has decided against it because Isabel committed suicide, which is considered a mortal sin. She will not be permitted to become a Catholic. Angela tries to persuade the priest, but he tells her there is nothing he can do. John informs Gabriel of an increase in soul travel in the mortal realm, asks Gabriel if God can give him more time. Gabriel laughs, declaring John's desire to enter heaven a lost cause. John reminds Gabriel of all the demons he has banished and returned to hell. He regards his service as a guarantee of entry into the gates of heaven. Gabriel answers that John's efforts are insufficient. The only way for John to enter heaven is through self-sacrifice and faith. John complains that he has already made so many sacrifices for what he believes in. However, Gabriel points out that while John is aware of God's existence, he does not believe in the Almighty. John claims he expelled demons from children to save their lives. But Gabriel claims he only did so for his own benefit so that he can enter heaven. Meanwhile, Father Hennessy flips through several newspapers, hearing the headlines in his head as he does so. He sorts through a stack of papers before focusing on one, a suicide by a person suffering from a mental illness.
So much damage has been done to the bodies.
Isabel Angela watches footage of Isabel's death and hears her mother's name, Constantine. She recognizes the name as that of the rude man in church. While smoking, John notices someone approaching him and realizes it's a demon covered in various insects. The demon attacks John, knocking him across the road. The demon then warns John to stay away from the demons. When John uses the screeching beetle to repel the demon is hit by an oncoming van. John then meets Cha, and the two go to Midnight's nightclub. Inside the nightclub, John notices half-breeds interacting peacefully with one another. John enters the back room and meets Papa Midnight. Midnight is a holy man who has sworn to take neither the side of heaven nor the side of hell. John informs him that he was attacked earlier by a full-fledged demon. Midnight believes this is impossible because demons cannot enter the human realm. This is the rule on which both parties must agree. The two are interrupted to maintain balance. Val Phaser enters the room as a demon half-breed. He addresses Constantine while playing with his coin. When John is insulted, he threatens to send him back to hell. Steps taken at midnight in the morning. Both of them are aware that hostilities may occur within the nightclub. Angela knocks on John's door as he walks home. She has located him and is requesting. Angela tells John she believes her sister Isabel was murdered. Angela claims that her sister was brainwashed into committing suicide. She also emphasizes that Isabel was a devout Catholic who would never have committed suicide. Angela departs as John continues to refuse to assist. John notices shadows following Angela from his window and pursues her. Angela's case, according to John, may have something to do with what's going on in heaven and hell. He informs Angela of the existence of heaven and hell, but not in the way that most people would. Angela scoffs at the idea, claiming that people are evil and do not require any other motivation. John then agrees, but asks her to consider that people can be both good and evil, and that they sometimes need a nudge from one of the two sides. The lights suddenly go out, leaving the pair in the dark, and John pulls out a piece of cloth. They can hear strong gusts of wind coming from unseen beings flying overhead. John brings the fabric and a large fireplace to life, illuminating the demons that surround them. The demons are scorched, screeching, and fleeing. Angela vomits as a result of the shock of what she has witnessed. John speculates that demons may be after Angela rather than him. When John asks Angela if she truly believes Isabel would never commit suicide, Angela maintains her belief that Isabel must have been murdered in order to determine whether Isabel had committed suicide. To find her soul, John must travel to hell. John prepares a basin of water and suspends his feet in it at Angela's apartment. He requests Angela's departure, and she agrees. Constantine takes Isabel's cat and looks into its eyes in order to connect with Isabel's soul. Slow is Constantine's perception of time. When time comes to a halt, John finds himself in hell. He takes Demon's holy water and closes it for a quick escape. He makes his way through the hellish landscape, surrounded by fiery winds and scorched earth. Finally, John notices Isabel standing on the edge of a building and calls out to him. Demons attack from all sides, and Isabel removes her medical tag. Constantine tries to catch it as it flies in the wind. He chases the flying tag, but the demons spot him as Isabel falls off the ledge. Constantine reaches for the demoness and the tag. He smashes the holy water on his chest as he catches the tag and reappears in Isabel's apartment. John discovers Angela and Isabel are twins and informs Angela that Isabel committed suicide and prove her medical tag. Father Hennessy discovers Isabel's body at the morgue. He grabs Isabel's arm and tries to read her memories, but a mark appears on her wrist. When Hennessy sees this symbol, he collapses to the ground in terror. He attempts to drink from his liquor flask, but the liquid does not make it to his mouth. He discovers a store nearby and attempts to drink from wine bottles, but the liquor remains in the bottle. He shatters several bottles, but the alcohol refuses to flow. Hennessy collapses to the ground, choking. He stabs his palm with a bottle opener. Beezer appears, his coin in hand, watching Hennessy suffer. Hennessy then begins to choke on alcohol. His mouth was dripping with liquor. Beezer had duped him into believing he couldn't drink anything, but he was actually drinking everything he had open. Hennessy drowns and dies. John tells Angela that as a child, he saw demons and other evil entities. His parents, unsure what to do, had him treated, which exacerbated the situation by leaving him unable to cope with what was happening to him. The young Constantine suicides. He had only been dead for 2 minutes, but time moves differently in hell, and he felt like he had been there for a lifetime. When he comes back to life, he realizes that everything he saw was real. Both heaven and hell exist on earth at the same time, but in different planes of existence. To keep control of humans, half-breeds such as Gabriel and BLF Air were developed. Humans can hear these whispers. Some can give you bursts of courage, while others can give you excruciating fear and dread. Angela then receives a phone call informing her of Father Hennessy's death, and the two go to the scene. When John sees Hennessy, he notices a bloodstain on his palm. Hennessy had carved the symbol he had seen on Isabel on his palm so that Constantine could see it. John takes the symbol and requests that the man investigate it. John searches Isabel's room for clues. Isabel, he believes, would have been wise enough to leave a clue. He claims that the bond between twins is strong, and he forces Angela to recall anything that might be relevant to the case. Angela recalls how they used to leave each other secret messages as kids as a unique way of communicating. She exhales, but her breath causes a window to fog up, revealing something written. As they drive Beeman, John notices the message, Corinthians 17, and calls them to explain that the Bible should be referred to as the Bible from hell. According to the Hell Bible, Corinthians 17, there will be a devil's son who will bring everlasting darkness upon humanity. When Isabel's wristband bears the symbol of Mammon, the devil's son. According to the Bible, Mammon desires to build his own hellish kingdom to rival Satan's. Mammon must have a powerful psychic and be brought into this world by a divine being for this to happen. Before Beeman could finish, he senses that something is after him. He hangs up the phone, and insects begin to emerge from his eye. John and Angela have rushed to Beeman but have arrived too late. They find Beeman dead, covered in insects that are spewing from his mouth and nose. The man with the spear of destiny is seen walking towards. He shatters the window before stealing the car and driving to Los Angeles. Angela finally admits that she, too, saw things when she was younger. She denied seeing the demons when she saw Isabel becoming an outcast and being treated for mental illness. Her vision gradually faded as she aged. She feels guilty because she feels she abandoned Isabel when she needed her the most. She wants to go through hell herself, knowing her sister is suffering. John agrees, and the two of them fill a bathtub with water. Angela is submerged, and John is holding her down. Angela begins to run out of breath and she tries to free herself from Constantine and begins to drown. Angela's time begins to slow, and she travels to hell and back in a split second. She finally realizes how she could always tell where the criminals were and when to shoot. She jumps to her feet and dashes to Beeman's office. She digs down and discovers BLF Ayer's coin. When John arrives at BLF Ayer's penthouse, he blows through the wall, throwing BLF Azer back. BLF Azer then pounces on John and begins choking him. John reaches into his suit and pulls out brass knuckles with a holy cross blazon. John gains control and subdues B. John stands over Air, about to exorcise him, but John threatens to bless him and send Beezer's soul to heaven instead. Terrified, Beezer informs John that the Spear of Destiny is the key to Mammon's arrival on the human realm. Beezer laughs as Angela appears behind John, saying his only goal was to get Angela to the building. After shooting by Air, John and Angela make their way down. A figure stands over as they discuss the Sphere of Destiny and how it fits into Mammon's plan. Val Air asked to be revived because of what he'd done, but the figure does nothing but watch Val Phaser deteriorate. Angela realizes that if Isabel dies, she will be the powerful psychic Mammon requires since his birth. Before they could react, she feels a strange sensation. Angela is dragged across the building as John chases her down several concrete walls. She flies through the night sky, leaving John alone. John then barges into Midnight's room, declaring that he urgently needs to use. Midnight is enraged and pins John against a wall, digging into his chest. John informs Midnight that neither side is following the rules any longer, and his neutrality has been revoked as the demons are already moving. Midnight finally gives in. They enter Midnight's artifact storage and come across a wooden chair used for electric capital punishment. Midnight wets the floor after John removes his shoes. Midnight then opens a live bulb and prepares to stab electricity through John. John notices the man carrying as Midnight connects the bulb to him. John observes the man's journey and sees him on his way to the hospital. In the hospital, half-bred demons have gathered to await Mammon's arrival while plotting their strategy. Chime's army of half-breed demons informs Midnight and John that when their outer skin is washed away with holy water, half-breed demons become vulnerable. Angela arrives at the pool where Isabel drowned and notices the man with the spear. She shoots him while unloading a full magazine, which has no effect on the man. When John and Chaz arrive at the hospital, Chaz goes straight to the water reservoir to bless it, transforming it into holy water. John moves on to the demonstration. Chaz places a blessed holy cross in the water tank, which transforms it into holy water. John confronts the horde of half-breeds and declares that he will kill them all. When John lights the sprinklers, holy water rains down on them. Each demon is then dispatched by John, who shoots them to pieces. Chaz arrives just in time, and the two proceed to Angela. Angela is drowned by the man, and she reappears in hell. Mammon appears in the flesh and enters her. Angela is now possessed by Mammon, and John rushes in direct exercise. Angela and John struggle, and Chaz assists in her subduing. John then begins chanting incantations over Angela, which appears to work as Angela returns to normal for a brief moment. Angela takes a breath, but she becomes aware of something inside her. She screams, and they see Mammon clawing its way out of her stomach. Chaz joins John in his chanting, and Mammon withdraws for a moment. Chaz is then thrown back and smashed several times into the floor and ceiling, killing him instantly. John clasps his hands together, forming a symbol in the room's roof, which appears to open. But then Gabriel appears in front of John. As Gabriel uses the spear to cut open, John realizes that Gabriel's divine touch will give birth to Mammon. According to Angela Gabriel, humans have become too complacent, unaware of the old ways of believing, because the rise of Mammon would cause much pain and suffering. Those who rise above would be truly worthy of God's love. Gabriel then lifts John, blows him away, and smashes him into a glass door. Now I'm desperate. John seeks God's assistance. John slits his wrist with a piece of glass. Gabriel takes the spear of destiny and prepares to unleash Mammon as John bleeds. As Gabriel lowers the blade, time stops, and the devil himself appears, making his way to John, who is dying. Lucifer is overjoyed to see John and even lets him smoke one last cigarette. John then informs Lucifer that Gabriel is about to release Mammon in the other room. Lucifer laughs, thinking it's a joke, but John tells him to look for himself. Lucifer then enters the pool room and notices the spear in Gabriel's hand from a few inches away. Lucifer takes Angelo away without hesitation, saving her from the spear. Gabriel is stunned as time passes again, meeting Lucifer for the first time. Gabriel prepares to smite Lucifer in God's name, but his fist comes to a halt. Lucifer smiles as he informs Gabriel that God has abandoned him. Lucifer then declares that hell is still his domain and exiles man to hell, where he burns. Gabriel's wings have been removed. Lucifer has returned to John. I'm ready to send him to hell. Lucifer asks John what he wants in exchange for warning him of Mammon's plan. And instead of requesting an extension of his life, John requests Isabel's soul be sent to heaven. Lucifer agrees and sends Isabel to heaven with a single gesture. He then begins dragging John down, but John becomes extremely heavy and he is unable to move him. The walls fall away, revealing heaven's kingdom. Accepting John, God accepts him now that he has made a selfless sacrifice for Isabel's soul. Lucifer is enraged and grabs John. He excavates John's lungs and removes the cancer. Lucifer declares that John will live on, allowing him more time to demonstrate that John's soul truly belongs in hell. All of John's wounds have healed when he awakens. Angela awakens as well, and the two notice Gabriel in the pool. They notice Gabriel has been transformed into a human. Gabriel entices John to seek vengeance by handing him his shotgun and instructing him to shoot John instead of Gabriel, who punches Gabriel. Gabriel triumphs over pain for the first time. After that, John and Angela go to the roof, where John gives Angela the Spear of Destiny for safekeeping. Angelo agrees, and the two part ways, saying they'll meet again later. Again, John looks into the night, realizing that God has a plan for him. And the story ends here. What do you think about this story? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like the video, subscribe and activating bell for notification until the next video. Thank you so much for watching.